Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 385. Let's see, I had the white pieces here and I played d4, and my opponent plays f5, the Dutch defense. So, interesting way to play. It's popular among a few grandmasters. It's sometimes considered a little bit dubious, but the way it's played, Nakamura plays it, for example. He plays the Leningrad Dutch with the pawn to g6 and the bishop to g7. So g3 is a top choice here. There are lots of different ways to play this. You can play c4, and you can also play knight to c3 followed by e4, which was recently recommended by Varuja Nakobian over on the St. Louis Chess Channel. That's an interesting way to play. Also, the immediate e4 here is the Staunton Gambit. I've played that way sometimes. So a lot of different plans for white. The most traditional plan is just g3. Going to fianchetto this bishop and at the same time slow the advance of the f-pawn, maybe even put a pawn on e3, so the pawns on e3 and g3 will keep this pawn from coming forward to f4, or at least make it a sacrifice of some kind. So knight f6 is the main way to play here, and that leaves some flexibility. Black will still have the option of pushing his pawns to g6 or to e6, but he chooses to go for the e6 setup right away. So this is not the Leningrad Dutch. This is the classical Dutch, I guess they call it. So continuing with c4, it's a normal way to play. I really don't know this line any more than what I've just said. I played bishop g2, seemed like a logical move, and it's not too awful. Knight f6 now, and e3 I played. So what's the right move here? Once again, c4 is a move, or knight f3. Yeah, developing the knight makes a lot of sense. Okay, but I played e3 instead, and like I said, I was just clamping down on this f4 square, so he won't be able to push that anytime soon. And we're pretty much out of the opening book at this point. You can see, even though I'm not playing the exact moves from the opening book, I've still got a reasonable position. The engine likes this for white. Knight c6. Knight e2, just continuing sort of a logical development. This knight, it also helps clamp down on the f4 square, and it doesn't want to come to f3 and block the bishop. I'm keeping this diagonal open for the bishop. Bishop b4 check, he throws in. And I could play different ways. c3, knight d2, bishop d2. Okay, I chose bishop d2, castles. And then I decide to take his bishop. It's kind of wastes the tempo for black. It displaces his knight. His knight is going to have to regroup. And I kicked it right away with a3. Huh, the engine improved to that one. Interesting. And knight b to d5. Yeah, you can go to this d5 square, but it's not particularly stable. I can always push it away with c4, which the engine thinks I should play right away. I went ahead and castled. He played d6, and now I play c4. And I've already got these pawns. Sometimes you have to control these squares before you play c4 because you don't want the knight coming in. But I've already played a3, so these squares are already under my control, so I can just kick that guy right away. Drops back to b6. So I've got a very comfortable position out of the opening, and I'm feeling pretty good. He's hitting this pawn here. Queen b3 is a way to defend it, which might be a little more interesting, more dynamic than what I played, but b3 is not a bad move. Queen e8. He was attacking the c-pawn. I had to do something about that. And now knight b to c3, yeah, just developing. c6. So maybe he's preparing the move d4 here. Although I didn't think d5, rather. I didn't think this was a good plan for black. Black has a light squared bishop. Yeah, a light squared bishop hitting on these light squared pawns. And if he puts another pawn on a light square, it's going to make that bishop an even worse piece. So I didn't need to do anything to stop that plan. If he wants to play d5, I should let him. And he did play it. And then maybe I don't even need to exchange here. I like to have at least one open line in a position, but it looks like just queen a2, knight b1. Looks like I can just sit in the position or even play c5 and lock it up further. c5 is pretty interesting, but I decided to open it up, like I say. It's not really opening the position up, but it's creating at least one open line. But it did help his bishop a little bit. The bishop now has one more square it can go to. So every square helps. So just development here. Rook a c1, knight to e4. Good square for the knight. He does get this good square in this structure that I've set up, but I'll push it away with f3. Oh, it looks like I played f3 right away. Let's see. The engine is saying a4. Maybe the idea of a5 and harassing the knight is an idea. And knight f4. Just looked like a good square for my knight. Yeah, knight f4. Although he can push it away with the move g5, which weakens his king. You know, it's kind of a double-edged move, but yeah, I'm not sure my knight is entirely stable on f4. Anyway, I decided to push his knight away with f3. Yeah, so knight takes c3 would equalize. So maybe that's not the best choice. Maybe I should just sit on this position a while longer. Anyway, but he didn't take my knight. He retreated. It is just annoying to have that knight there. And then I went queen d3 to support these pawns in the center. This one was loose. Queen e7 was played. And e4. So I finally pushed forward in the center. But the engine thinks this is about equal. So somehow I've let my opening advantage slip in the last few moves. Not playing the most precise moves, but still a good game. So we get these exchanges. I guess the reason it's equal now is because of the exchanges of the pawns in the center. I've liberated his bishop. So now our bishops are equally good. I have a good bishop too, although it is hitting on this c6 square. I have ideas of undermining it with a move like d5. So an even game. He throws in queen takes a3 here. Yeah, grabbing this pawn, it didn't hurt. Okay. Sometimes when your queen gets displaced to the wrong side of the board, you can get in trouble. And I thought I'd be doing pretty good here after knight f6, and rook takes, and g takes, because it messes up the pawns around his king. But a lot of my attacking forces been dissipated. But I still have a queen, a rook, and two minor pieces. That's quite enough to mate with. So black has to be cautious, and he has disrupted his pawn structure. So I think this position, let's see, if we count the material. Right, I'm down a pawn because he grabbed the a pawn. But his disrupted king structure here has given me adequate compensation. So I push on with d5, and here's where he makes his mistake. He has a very interesting reply to d5, which is this bishop g4 move the engine is suggesting. What the idea is, he's putting pressure on the knight. So I probably need to take on c6. That's the whole point of this maneuver, is to take this pawn, extend the scope of my light squared bishop. But then he exchanges on e2, and that pulls my queen away from the defense of the b3 pawn. My queen is a bit overloaded here after he plays his bishop to g4. So that's a very interesting way for black to play this position and maybe lead to a slight edge for white. Instead, he took the pawn, and this is just a mistake because this opens up this diagonal to his king now. So I come in here with the bishop. He can trade off my bishop, but then I come in here with the queen, which is also a perfectly good bishop. And now I'm just winning. Yes, there's a mate in 9 here. And let's see, he went to g7. So back up, let's see. Instead of taking, he should have just moved his king here. King f8 is a way for him to try and survive this position. And taking is a mistake. So if we count that up, it's interesting. After king f8, I'm still down a pawn. The material is otherwise even because I have 3 pawns to 4, and yet I have an evaluation of +2. So it must mean I still have a really strong attack, even after king f8. King f8, rook c7, queen a1 check. I wonder if there's a immediate win of material. King f2. You don't see it winning any material right away. It's just the fact that his king is open and exposed to my pieces, which are out and active. And I always have this rook c7 idea. Okay, so he took here, which loses much more quickly. Of course, that's assuming I play correctly. The king goes to g7. I bring the rook in with check. See, we're now mate in 8. The king goes to h6. And now he's playing good moves, by the way. He's extending this as long as possible. Now the mate in 7 would follow from queen d4, queen d2 check. Coming back along the d file and checking here. Queen f7. I thought about queen f7. I thought somehow he could block that. I always have to worry about his checks coming in here. And I played the move queen g8, also thinking, well, I'm just threatening to pin and win this bishop here. But I have to be cautious because a pin works both ways. I'm pinning his bishop, but on the other hand, his rook has a discovered attack on my queen. And after the move queen to where he went a1 check, queen a1 check, I only have one move. Oh, I could interpose with the rook, but I didn't want to bring the rook back, and I wanted the rook here for attack. So I could just move the king to f2, and I'm still winning by a huge margin. But instead, I went to g2, and now the finishing blow here, bishop h3 check, and I just lose my queen. So a game that I had a mate in 9, and I was pursuing, and suddenly it turned around, and I'm just lost here. So interesting game, sort of a funny end, but well, that's the way it goes sometimes. Gotta stay alert every move. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.